So what if information borders, right, practically non-existent because we have the internet now? So why does anyone bother to rate films anymore? According to you, what do you think? Why do you still rate films?
Well, we in Singapore will be unique in the world if we did not rate films, because I mean the fact that the internet has made things more borderless hasn't stopped the US or UK or Australia or Canada, any of these other countries from not rating movies. I think each media is just rated and treated differently. So film is a media that is extremely powerful, has tremendous impact on the people who watch them, and they are visually very powerful as well. So it's universally acknowledged that films need to be classified in order to protect young people particularly.
So Chian, what do you think about this? About film classification as a film classifier yourself?
I basically agree with what Vijay has said. It's not unique to Singapore. I mean, other countries also face the same challenge, and I mean, doing film classification, the objective is to protect the young from unsuitable content, and at the same time making more informed choices available for the adult population.
Now, like both of you said, right, Singapore is not unique in film classification, but are we stricter?
So we're not unique in that we have film classification. So in the developed world, most countries have a classification system, and so fundamentally we're not different. We're different in degrees. And we vary in degrees to the US as the US would vary in degrees to, say, Australia, and Australia to the UK. So my observation is that in Asian societies in general, we tend to take a slightly more tolerant view towards violence, and the ratings for films reflect that. In the US, a film like Spider-Man or Terminator Salvation, the recent film, would receive a rating of PG-13. In Singapore, both of those films were rated PG, which makes it more easily accessible to young children. However, we are a bit more sensitive to films that might affect racial harmony, and those are films that are scrutinized and perhaps given a more restrictive rating because of that. Certainly, we are very sensitive to films that portray a drug culture, and so we tend to be a bit more sensitive to those kinds of films and scrutinize those kinds of films. And we are probably a bit more squeamish about films that portray nudity or sex, while in the West they tend to be a bit more squeamish about films that have violence, and perhaps a little bit more lax with films that might have nudity.
Will this change in the future?
It changes all the time, because
depending on how the society grows and matures?
Yes. I mean, the film classification is a reflection of society's aspirations, of what they want to protect, and so it has changed from the time classification was introduced in 1991. More ratings have come into play. We have basically become more and more liberal. Part of that has got to do with the us being in the internet age now. And that will continue to change. In fact, very soon we're going to have a panel that the censorship review panel that's going to be formed, that's going to take a look at all the current policies and recommend any changes. That was previously done once every 10 years. Now we're starting to put together a CRC every 5 years or so, greater frequency. So it's something that's in flux and it's changing all the time.
I see. Does Chiyan have anything to add on to this?
Yeah, I mean, basically, different countries have different concerns, different social and cultural values. So to us, being a multi-religious and multiracial society, we tend to be more concerned about content that denigrates any race or religion. Yeah, and we may be more tolerant of violence, for example, as compared with countries in the West. Yes, and And our standards are constantly evolving. We consult our community panel quite regularly in terms of guidelines. In fact, our guidelines are drawn in consultation with the community as well as the industry. Yes, because to us that's very important. We can't be doing something arbitrarily, and it's so that's why we need to reflect guidelines like VJ say that reflect societal values and expectations.
As our society evolves, so will our film classification system. The Board of Film Censors strives to stay relevant to our society. Find out how far it has come since its film censoring days in our other videos on BFC.